Good day, grade 10. I hope you're all well. I just want to say a big well done on completing those quizzes. I was really, really pleased, and a lot of you managed to come up with some really, really good points, especially in the JPR. And I know it was in such a small space of time, so really, really well done. We're moving on to a new unit now, and the unit's all about justice. You'll find that this isn't in Jesus and his legacy, but you'll find there's a lot of crossovers with some things that we've already done. Okay, so we're going to start with an overview of peace and justice. We have spoken about this before in previous units, so hopefully it's not too new. So our objectives for this week to define some key terms. We're going to identify categories of people who suffer injustices in the Bahamas. So you see this is directly related to the prejudice and discrimination unit. And we're going to doing some more biblical studies in this unit. So we need to summarise Amos's description of the treatment of the poor. And then this week we're going to be presenting research about an organisation that promotes justice in the Bahamas. And I'll come on to that a bit later in the video. Okay, so some key terms. Peace. Basically, peace is the absence of war. So there's a sense of harmony between people. So this can be between individuals or between groups, between countries, between nations. Justice, as we've seen when we looked at capital punishment and the different types of punishment, justice is doing what is right and what is fair. And this is usually based on the law, but not always. And justice is so important. Having a just society means that people can live in peace with each other. So justice is also making sure that those that are disadvantaged in society are looked after. Two keywords that we should know already. So prejudice, to prejudge someone before you know all the facts, and having negative thoughts about someone. And discrimination, as we said, prejudice in action. So because you think a certain way about someone, you treat them differently based on them thoughts. And the final term is poverty. And to be in poverty means you are extremely poor. And being in poverty can look different in different countries. It basically means that if you are in poverty, you are not living up to the same standard as what is considered normal in that society. So that might look different from one country to the next in terms of how much physical money a person has, but if someone is in poverty, they're not living to the same standard as the majority of people. And as we look at the other terms, then justice is important for these people in poverty. Justice means that those in poverty and other people that are disadvantaged are treated fairly. Okay, so I'm just going to give a brief overview of the book of Amos. There's much more detailed notes on the Word document. What you need to do is to, I'd read the scriptural references and I'd go through and bullet point the main parts of Amos, okay? So basically in Amos 5, he's responding to the religious leaders of Israel and basically rebuking them for the way they treated the poor, and basically here Amos outlines how you should not treat the poor. So what they do is they were forcing the poor people to give them grain, and anyone that spoke out against them, they hated them. This shows Christians that they should not follow this example. So therefore, you should help poor people. Christians should help poor people and be fair to poor people. And those that speak out against injustices should be valued in society. You shouldn't be admonished for speaking out against injustice. Instead, you should be promoted for speaking out against injustices. And Christians can use this as an example in their own lives to make sure that they are speaking out for those that are disenfranchised. In the New Testament, in Matthew chapter 6 verses 1 to 4, Christians are called upon to bring peace and justice. And specifically in this scripture, it talks about people's attitudes. So therefore, you shouldn't be giving. You shouldn't be giving to the poor or helping those that are disenfranchised so that other people can see you. Okay, you might notice a lot at the moment on social media, there's a lot of people, if they're giving to the poor, they're making sure they're taking photos of it so that everyone can see. And in Matthew, that said that shouldn't be why you should do them. You should do these good deeds in secret. You shouldn't do these good deeds just so everyone else can see you. And Matthew also talks about becoming aware of your own prejudices. We spoke about this when we started the prejudice unit, like to think about what prejudice you do hold. As I said, all of us will hold some prejudice, and then to think about why we hold them prejudices. And then in Matthew, it talks about asking God to help you overcome those prejudices as well. It talks a lot as well about examining your attitude before you do something, making sure that what you do and the action that you are committing is for the right reason and you have the correct attitude going into it. Okay, so how does then peace and justice look in the Bahamas? This list is not exhaustive. I've said the disadvantaged in Bahamian society include, but are not limited to. So there are many, many more. So the elderly, the poor, the disabled, the abused, the homeless, the LGBTQ community, and people with AIDS and HIV. As I said, this list could go on and on, okay? So there are many people within society, well, within all societies, who are disadvantaged. And when we're saying that they're disadvantaged, it means that they're not receiving justice. They're not receiving what is right and fair. How does the Bahamas then respond to this? So there are many religious organisations and civic organisations that promote peace and justice for all. So they're trying to help the disadvantaged in society. So these include the Red Cross, Salvation Army, Children's Emergency Hospital, Great Commission Ministries. And hopefully, as we go on to the next part, you'll see that you can research any one of these, but also if you can find your own organisation that helps disadvantaged people in the Bahamas, it would be good if you could research your own. So coming on to that, this week we're going to be doing something a bit different. I want you to prepare you for next year. You're all absolutely smashing those JPRs. As I've said, a lot of you are probably writing way more than you would be able to in an exam, which is great because you've got the time at the moment, but obviously we need to make sure that during an exam we're making our writing succinct. But what I want to try this week is a coursework style question. So a coursework style question, one of the types, usually with the coursework you'll have 7 to 10 different questions, and there are always 2 of them that are investigation questions, and they are always worded research and comment on. So this week you're going to research and comment on an organisation that aims to help the disadvantaged in the Bahamas. So this is an investigation question. So you need to research, you need to investigate this, and then you need to comment on it. So the research part, you will be doing on the internet. Obviously, you won't be popping along to the library because that is not social distancing. So all your research will be done on the internet, and then you'll comment on that organisation that you choose, okay? So I've given some links at the bottom of the document of ones you could choose if you wanted to. As I said, I'm happy for you to go and research your own. What must you include? So you need to include the organisation's mission statement or their statement of purpose. So actually what their aim is. You need to give a description of the work they do and specific examples of the work they do. So for example, the Red Cross, You'd give their mission statement, you describe some of the things they do, and then give specific examples. So, for example, after the hurricane, what specifically did they do? And then I want you to comment on the effectiveness of their work. So, by looking at their mission statement, you're seeing what they're aiming to do. Do you think this work is effective? Remember, you don't have to say yes or no. You could say it's somewhat effective. However, I think they could do X, Y, Z. Or you could think it's very effective because, and make sure that comment section is worth at least 4 marks of the investigation, so that needs to be well developed. I'm looking for at least a page of A4. We're all of you are typing at the moment, so I'd say a page of A4, font 11, font size 11, sorry, would be sufficient for this week when we're doing our coursework. A 10-mark question, I'm looking for at least 2 pages, 2.5 pages from you. What do we need to think about this week then? This is very different from the JPR. We need to be thinking about referencing. A lot of you are very good at writing, and I see that you're using research that you've done, but you're not referencing it properly. So you'll find the link to this website in the document, and it goes through really clearly how you should reference and also why you should reference. So as you can see here, if you're putting a direct quote in, you need to enclose it in quotation marks, and then next to it, so obviously all of ours will be from websites this week. So after you've done it, you would put the website, not the URL, not www. Just, this is from Nassau Guardian. And then in brackets, the year that it was written, okay? And for longer direct quotations, so maybe if their mission statement is quite long, it may be neater to put it in its own paragraph. Okay, and then at the bottom you will need to then put your bibliography, so include the full reference. So as you can see here, the name of the website is Skills You Need, so you would put, okay, Nassau Guardian, in brackets, when the article was written. Then you would have the article name in italics, in brackets online, and then available at, and then you would have the full URL. So that is basically, you copy it from straight from the website, and then in brackets put when you accessed it. So I accessed this on May the 2nd. It wouldn't be May the 2nd, so I accessed this on May the 5th. 2020, okay? Because websites change. So if you've directly copied and pasted it and then I click on it 5 days later, that website address still might not be the same. However, I can see when you did access it. Obviously here it says how to reference books. We won't need that at the moment because we won't be using books this week, okay? So really try. I'll be giving marks to that bibliography to show that you have done that properly, okay? So take your time with this one this week. Okay, so what do we need to do? You need to watch this video. I'd maybe pause and take notes, especially when I'm talking about how to answer the question. You can bullet point those things. Email me, WhatsApp me if you don't understand, as usual. There are quite a few biblical references, and as I said, bullet point the main ideas from each scripture. Hopefully I've given you a brief overview in the notes, so you've got an idea of them, okay? And then complete the questions and upload them onto Plus Portal when you've finished, okay? So a bit more of a challenge for you this week, grade 10, but I am highly confident that you're going to shine, okay? Take care, everyone. Once again, stay healthy, stay happy. Let me know if you need anything, okay? Hopefully see you soon. Bye-bye.